Welcome back to the Expressions of Destiny podcast. This is Jennifer. Today is Teachable Tuesday, so let's get down to business. I have a topic for you today, and I'm just going to jump right in here because it is one that has been reoccurring over and over and over. It is usually an issue that many business owners and employees encounter, but you don't really know what it is, but it's a consistent issue throughout the fibers of a company. And so because we don't recognize it, it continues to grow and become an even greater problem. And then we don't quite know how to solve it. So let's just get to it. As I start to talk about it, you'll probably think, oh, okay, I understand this one word, has been thrown all over the place, and it's communication. And we think that that is such an easy thing to do, to communicate, but it's really not. Communicating is not just standing in front of someone and talking to them. Communicating is not just having a conversation. And that's what we know it to be on the surface. But communication is actually understanding what the person is saying. And so this has become an even greater problem more recently, or from what I have seen and heard from the people that I talk to. Consistently, I get people, telling me about different things that they're going through with their employees, different maybe clients or customers. If you work specifically with a client, and I'm not talking about customers like in a retail store, that's a whole different kind of communication. But when you are working with a client one-on-one and there is a miscommunication, that can be enough to completely sever ties with that client if there's a disagreement or a misunderstanding about something. And so it's very important that we get to the bottom of this. I'm going to talk about communication, but then I also want to go into something that's going to really press on us to be more personal with this. So first of all, communicating, we talk about in person, face to face. We can communicate through emails. We can communicate through text messaging, which is a lot more prevalent now than what it was, back when. That used to be something that was a little non-professional, considered non-professional, but now it's one of the easiest ways for us to communicate with our teams or our employees when we need them, immediately, or we need them to act on something. And so text message has become more popular. And then you have your old school phone calls, just talking to someone over the phone and having a conversation. But what happens is those communications, we don't keep track of them. And we don't really take the time to pay attention to the way that we're communicating. And if we are even communicating at all, let me give you some examples. There have been times where if I am communicating with somebody through email, and I don't receive a response back, that shows the bigger picture of how you operate in your business as well. When you don't return phone calls, you don't return emails or reply to emails, you don't return text messages, you are telling the other person it was not important for me to communicate back with you, or I got your point. And I'm not talking about the ending emails where, okay, thank you so much, and then you put your name, but where you are taking time to read what is in that text and or the body of that email and responding to it, reading it over and responding to each point that they may have had a question about or a concern, and then ending that communication. But we should not allow something to be left open. I have communicated with people before where they may send me an email. I respond back to them. I have a question about whatever it is that they are asking of me, and I never hear back from them again. I understand that emails get lost in the huge ocean of emails that we get every day. But in that case, when someone does not respond to me, and I'll be sharing a couple of tips with you as well to use just to kind of keep it professional. But if someone does not respond to you and you're wondering, okay, 3 days have gone by, I haven't heard back from this person. Instead of sending them a new email, what I do is I go to the previous email, the original one, and I forward it to them again. Because I want to show them, hey, look, listen, I sent this to you a couple of days ago, and I figured maybe it got lost. amongst all of your other emails. I'm sure you're busy, but I wanted to resend it to you just in case. And when that happens, they're able to see the timestamp of when you actually sent the original email. A lot of times I'll get, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I've been swamped with work. I got busy with this. I got busy with that. And I understand that. But you're still telling that person that it was not important to respond back to them. So another thing that I do when things like that happen, for instance, if somebody emails me, now I'm going to turn this back on myself. If someone emails me and I see the email and I read it, but I don't have time to respond to it. And it's not that they're not important, but at the moment I may be in the middle of something. I may be on my way to another meeting. I might be on my way to spend time with my family, which is important too. That is a priority. So I may not have a moment right then. I will click that little star next to my email so that it drops directly into the starred email box. I don't know if you have something like that. I'm pretty sure you do, but it's just kind of flagging it. And so I make it a point to go back to those starred emails either later on the evening or first thing in the morning, just so that I can make sure that I take care of that business. And it only takes a few minutes to respond to an email. So we have to make time for that and make sure that we're letting the people that we work with and that work for us know that they are important and what they had to say or ask was important. I just may have not been able to get to it at that moment, but I will respond to you. And so I can't tell you how many times I've been left hanging with emails. I never hear back from the person. It's not until weeks later I see them and I'm like, I emailed you back. Oh, you did? And it's not a good reflection on how you operate within your company, because you would want people to respond directly back to you. You would want someone to find whatever issue it is that you have or question that you have to be a priority as well. So it's really important that we remember those things. So that's just one of my tips on how to avoid that miscommunication or no communication at all, is to create these little habits, to be able to keep up with that stuff without driving yourself crazy with so much work to do all day long. So the first one was make sure that you do respond, check your emails. The second one is to at least put a star or flag it so that you can remember to go back to it, because we will forget that we had so many emails to respond to. Flag it. You have not responded to it yet, so flag it. It needs a response. And then the third way that I do this is, this is a little old school too. Most people use their phones, and that will work as well. But I have a planner. I love my paper, bound planner. And I do not believe in lists. I don't like creating lists because lists make you feel overwhelmed. Like there are a million things to get done in the day, and if you don't get them done, you failed. I've shared that on another episode. But and I love to focus on the main, 1 to 3 things that may be a priority for that day. But when it comes to reminders, I will make a list. And so if I know that I need to respond to somebody, I might just pull my planner out real quick and make a note. Email so-and-so back. So that I have notated on a specific date. I put it on the date on that. Today is Tuesday, November the 1st. I will write it within the November 1st box, respond to so-and-so. So that when I go back and notice that I have not responded to it and it was on November 1st, I need to get that done. And so my planner is the second thing that I check every single day. I check those starred emails and I check my planner. In my planner, when I have completed that task, no matter how big or small, just respond to someone in an email, I put a check mark next to it. And it reminds me that I have completed that task. And so these are just, again, just little ways to help us be effective and intentional in being a good example, really, of what it is to communicate well and to communicate that you do matter. You do mean something to me. I do appreciate your help. I appreciate you taking the time to get this done for me. I appreciate the questions, because when we lose that communication, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when everyone becomes frustrated with one another, and there becomes a break between that link chain of how your business is being run, and chaos happens. So this is going to lead into the second part, and this is going to get a little more personal, is that when it comes to communication, we need to do a self-check. And that means from the top all the way down. If you are a business owner, I'm talking to you right now. If you're a business owner, a manager, supervisor, CEO, it doesn't matter. If you are in some position of leadership, you have to check yourself first, because communication is not always and only the problem on the employee side. Communication may be a break between you and the employee. And I've found it that when a lot of people in those leadership positions do have a conversation with me, they will let me know what the issue is, what the problem is. An employee is not doing what they're supposed to do. An employee is doing certain things or acting a certain way. An employee this, an employee that, an employee this. And it's actually quite interesting that when I end up having communications with these supervisors and managers and leadership positions, and they are not communicating with me well, through these different ways that I just listed: email, in person, text message, they are not responding to me. They are not answering the questions that I have as the person who is helping them, right? The coach, helping them, trying to figure out what the problem is. Then I have to go and say, well, is it that you're not communicating well with your employee? Or is it that you don't have any communication with them at all? Is it that maybe they have tried to ask you a question, or they've tried to relay information to you, and there was nothing there catching it? There was no net of communication. There was no tie. There was no bringing back that link that had been broken. So there is a complete divide and disconnect between the upper management and the owners and the employees. And so we have to check ourselves. We have to ask, first of all, did I not communicate that correctly to them? Did I not, or did I forget to share certain details with them? Did I not communicate with them the way that they are supposed to function and operate within my business? Because this is your business. It is your responsibility to relay and convey that information to them. It's your responsibility to let them know how it is that you expect them to operate within your company. This is why we have rules, and we have regulations, and we have standards. We have protocols. We have certain ways of doing things in order to maintain order within the company, in order to keep a smooth flow of the way the business runs. That is your responsibility, not theirs. And if you have not relayed your vision and that information to them in the way that they can understand it, then you have to go back and figure out what it is and how it is that you're going to do that. Because a lot of times we're very quick to blame the employee for not doing their job correctly, and it's a miscommunication. There is a disconnect between the head and the actual body. And so I want to end on this, just to add a little bit of encouragement and help, is that there are ways to restore that communication. There are very easy ways to restore that communication, and we think that it's going to take a lot of time to try to get somebody to understand exactly the way that you want it. They may never understand exactly the way that you want it, but we want them to understand as much as they can, at least to be able to be successful in their position and successful in helping your business grow. And we want them to grow along the way as well. And so one of the easiest ways to fix that communication is to have a conversation. And that may seem a little too simple, but it's true. If you walk up to a person who may be struggling with their position and what it is they're supposed to do, and they're not doing it the way that you want them to, it's very easy to ask them, hey, let's have a chat. What's going on? Is there anything that you need help with? Is there anything that you didn't understand about the project or the assignment? Is there something that I can help you with? That is the easiest way to communicate, is through that conversation, because you have to put yourself in a position to stop for a moment, ask, how can I help you? And then just stand there and listen. Because if they don't respond and they don't have something to share with you, then most likely they really don't care. It might be a situation of, whatever, I don't have time for this. Just let me do what it is that I need to do so I can get out of here. But if you give them the opportunity, a lot of times they will speak up. I'm just not quite sure what it is I'm supposed to be doing. I didn't quite understand, the process for this. I'm having a hard time. I think I need some more training. Can you show me one more time? A lot of people are visual learners too. That's me. I can sit down and attempt to read a book and read the instructions, but I'd rather you just show me, because if you show me, I'm going to pick it up a lot faster. And so sometimes they just need someone to ask them, what is it that I can help you with? Or is there anything that you're struggling with that we can go over again? And as a leader, we have to be willing to step back down in that position and offer our help. It is not out of our hands once the initial training is done. If they even received initial training, it's not out of your hands. It is a consistent, you have a consistent opportunity every single day to try to help better that employee so that they can help your business. And so I just want to leave you with that, just some things to think about, because we just don't realize the break in communication is what causes a lot of strife in the businesses, a lot of disconnect, a lot of confusion, and that communication is so important. And the more that I talk to people, the more the people share with me their problems and their issues and the things they don't know how to handle. And I have that one opportunity to communicate with them through email. That's when I find out. When they don't respond back to me, then there is something that needs a self-check right there, to be able to say, well, wait a minute, you can't even communicate with me and take the time to respond to me. Are you taking the time to communicate and respond to your employees? So just want to leave you with that. Share your thoughts with me. If you have questions, reach out through this podcast or through our social media. But I hope you have a wonderful day. I pray that this helps you. I pray that these tips that I've shared will maybe give you some ideas on how to communicate better. So thank you again for joining me on the Expressions of Destiny podcast, and I will talk to you next week. God bless.